Hi drummers, hope you're well. Right, quick one about drum grades. Get a lot of messages from people saying, what are these drum grades you're always talking about? So drum grades in the UK anyway are a level by level system for learning the drums. They come in three main syllabuses. There are other ones as well, but it's the three main ones, at least the ones I work with, are Trinity College London drum grades, Trinity Rock and Pop drum grades, and Rockschool. The reason I really love them, as you will know by now if you've ever watched this channel, I'm always waffling on about, and the reason I really love them is because they are, like I said, level by level. You start at the first level, which is called initial, or debut it's called in Rockschool. You establish a basic set of skills at that level, and then you move on to the next level and the next level and so on. And the idea for me is you're always in that beautiful sweet spot, you're always in that lovely improvement zone, another thing I'm always thinking about and talking about on drums, where you kind of understand everything from the previous level, or you've demonstrated at least the core skills at the previous level. And so when you move to this new level, say that you're going to grade 1 from initial grade, you're just in that zone where you're sort of challenging yourself a little bit, but it's not wildly unreasonable. Or on the other hand, if you're grade 6 but you've demonstrated, solidly the grade 5 sort of skill set, you're always again in that zone where you can sort of just about do everything, but some of it's a little bit challenging. And in other words, it is, in my opinion and in my experience, the fastest, most efficient route through learning the drums. It's all largely song-based, and you're always, again, just challenging yourself enough, as opposed to the alternative, which I do see quite often, which is drummers saying, oh, can I do that song? Can I do a bit of that song? It's always the same songs. Can I do Everlong by Foo Fighters? Can I do A Spirit of Radio by Rush? Can I do Smells Like Teen Spirit? Can I do this, Pantera song? And that all is great. Like, I'm not knocking for 1 second anybody's enthusiasm for learning the music that they like. That's great. But here we're talking about, it's song-based, but we're talking about skill-building activities. And it just, for me, if you engage with it fully and wholeheartedly, which is a massive if, but if you engage with it fully and wholeheartedly, this is, in my opinion, the fastest, most efficient route to getting good at playing the drums. It will still take several years to get really good at playing the drums, in my experience. I was going to talk about the three different ones because the title of this video is, which drum grade course should I follow? The first thing to say is they're all really good. So Trinity College London, Trinity Rock and Pop, and Rockschool are all really good. And I think the difference between them, although there are some major differences between them, that's not the key question. The key question is not which one should I do. The key difference, if you like, is between following a graded course and not, I think. So I'm such a big fan of them. You can just tell a million miles off when someone turns up when they've engaged with a course such as this. Quickly thinking about the different types. The gold standard, I would say, in my opinion, in my experience, is this one, Trinity College London. It is, in like the parlance that I don't really like, but you do hear people saying a lot, the hardest, right? It's definitely the most time consuming, it's definitely the most wide ranging, it's definitely the thing that involves the most going deep on music theory and learning really musician-y skills and orchestral things, as well as jazzy things, as well as pop and rock things, but then also reggae things and Latin things, lots of other styles of music. It's the gold standard, it's the most involved, it's the most challenging, and I would say if you are really serious about your drumming, this is the choice for you. But it is long and difficult, challenging, and it really will test you. It certainly tests me trying to put together some of those pieces at the higher grades. The next one, Trinity Rock and Pop, is really fun. I think it's really accessible. So I do hear it. I got a comment about this yesterday. Actually, some people say, "What are these?" Someone said about Smells Like Teen Spirit, which appears at grade 6. Wow, that seems like a grade 3 piece to me. I get it, like it is more accessible. So Trinity Rock and Pop, it is more accessible than the Trinity College London. Again, I can only repeat, gold standard, most challenging, most rewarding if you have the time and effort to put into it, most rewarding. But this is more immediate, more accessible, more fun, still great. You'll still get very good, in fact, playing the drums, if you go all the way through them. And crucially, the thing I'm always talking about, if you look at all the pieces in all the books, not just the 3 you need to get away with an exam. Or just while I'm thinking about exams, by the way, you are not obliged to take exams at all with any of these. I think it's a good idea personally. If people ask my advice, I always say yes, at some point get some, if not every grade, at some point, or perhaps regular intervals, get some kind of objective feedback that you are indeed on the right track. The problem that I see quite often, sort of where people get a bit stuck, is they actually overestimate where they're at, and they say, oh, I'm not going to take the exams, and the next thing you know, they're opening a grade 6 book, and you think, well, hang on a minute, have you actually truly assimilated the skills from grade 1 to 5? Usually the answer is no. So the reason I do quite like, if anyone's asking for advice, the reason I quite like doing exams is you get that objective feedback, which is usually positive, but sometimes actually the examiner says, no, this skill isn't really there yet, that skill isn't really there yet. So again, it's all about keeping us really honest, keeping us exactly where we should be in terms of our learning improvement zone and all that. So Rock and Pop is great, I love it, it's song based, it's really fun, it's those are songs that you'd recognise as well. It's worth the same like credits as the Trinity College London, but I would say the only thing I would say is if you're super serious about your drumming, the Trinity College London just has that little bit more to it. Best possible advice, look at both. So the students who really, really, really do well, I often find they follow these grades as their core material, but then use this as a bit of a fun songbook as well. Rockschool is its own little thing, and it's kind of somewhere between the two, I guess. Like there's still songs that you would recognise, so it's still largely song based. There are a couple other cool things, like it gets you, a bit like Trinity College London does, it gets you actually actively and specifically deliberately playing rudiments and technical exercises and things like that as part of the grade, which Trinity Rock and Pop doesn't. But I guess it's a little more accessible, I would say, than the regular Trinity College London. It's a little more accessible, but it's still very, very good. I can only repeat that if you select any of these and you really engage with it and work with it, you're going to get good at playing the drums. So to sum up, I love these courses, level by level. Starting at the beginning, establishing a basic set of skills, moving up to the next level, always in that beautiful sweet spot, that improvement zone. It is, in my opinion, in my experience, the fastest, most efficient, but when I say fastest, please don't be mistaken, it will still take, again, in my experience, several years to get really good at playing the drums if you practice regularly. But I'm a huge fan of them, and compared to the alternative sort of scattergun approach of learning, they're absolutely brilliant. I think they're dynamite. They are not the only thing you need to do if you're going to learn the drums. You've plenty of other cool activities you can be doing as well. But as sort of one third of the puzzle, roughly, I would say, I always think about head, heart, and hands. Hands being physical skill development. To be fair, you do get quite a bit of that in Trinity College London and Rockschool, like explicit rudiments and exercises to work on your physical stuff. Head, which is music theory, song learning, that's where these books really come in. And then heart is like groove and feel and creativity. You get a little bit of that in here, but that's definitely something, perhaps with your drum teacher, you'd be doing elsewhere. So, I'm recapping, aren't I? Yeah, gold standard, the most involved, the most rewarding, but will take you the most time, will give you the most challenge, I reckon, for almost everybody. Well, definitely, I would say for everybody. Will give you the most challenge. Trinity College London. Trinity Rock and Pop, probably the most accessible. It's the one that doesn't explicitly have rudiments and stuff like that in there, although my advice would absolutely be to work on those as well. Song-based, probably the most fun when you immediately pick it up. Still pretty challenging by the time you get to the end, the last few grades. And then Rockschool, kind of its own thing, a bit of a mixture of the two. Still songs you'll recognise. Rudiments do feature technical exercises. They all feature, these ones in particular, Trinity College London and Rockschool feature like supporting tests, ear tests, sight reading, that kind of stuff, quite traditional sort of supporting tests as well as playing your songs. Trinity Rock and Pop just features a thing called session skills, which is either an improvising test or a thing called playback, where you play back a bit of music you've just heard. Hope that sums it up for anybody. Obviously, if there's any more questions, please let me know. I'm a huge fan of them. The biggest difference, I think, is for me not between the grade syllabuses, but it's between doing a grade syllabus and not. Having said that, hopefully I've explained there that clearly there are some differences, and I'm just a huge fan of them. Yeah, again, compared to the scattergun nature that often students use for their drum practice, I think they're absolutely a brilliant way to do it. Level by level. My advice is take the assessments. You don't have to, but my advice is that the biggest pitfalls of them are people going too high a level too soon when they haven't demonstrated clearly the skills at the previous levels, I would say. And please look at all the material at one level before you go on to the next. It's the same thing. People just all the time get ahead of themselves. I know I've definitely been guilty of that in the past, but it's such a downer, and then people just get stuck and it gets disheartening. So I'm a huge fan of them. Hope that explains it. Any questions about that or anything else, give us a shout. And yeah, as you can tell, big fan of them. All right, cheers.